welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I'm working on Mixed Media Mayhem. This is a monthly hop that we do. There's a group of us who participate. I will have the link to the Mixed Media Mayhem Facebook community down below, as well as a link to all of the people who are participating in this hop. And so we have this beautiful layout that we are going to be using as inspiration. And I'm going to work on a Christmas layout. And I have pulled stuff from my Hip Kit Club Christmas stash. I have the last 3 of their kits all in one Ziploc bag to use because they mix and match wonderfully. So I have pulled out some scraps here and hoping that I will have enough to complete this layout. I have not pulled a stencil out for the texture paste just yet. I did pull this piece of, this is a Joann's very thick, I think it's 180-pound cardstock. I got it on sale in packs of, believe, of 40 for like $4.42 on their website. I tend to watch for that pack to go on sale because this holds up mixed media very well. Not quite as good as Vicky Bouton foundations, but it's really close. And so that's what I will be using for the texture paste and the beautiful inking that is on the layout. I also have a piece of regular basil cardstock. This is marshmallow. You can see they're not quite the same color of white. That's not going to matter. And then I have some pictures. I'm going to be cutting this one down, and this one I'm going to leave the same size. So my photos are right off the top are going to be a little bit larger than the photos in the inspiration piece, but I think I can make all of this work fairly well. So I'm going to go ahead and pause you, and I'm going to get out my stencil, and we're going to get some mixed media onto this piece of cardstock. I will be right back. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tape down the stencil to my glass mat, and then I'm going to get my spatula and I'm going to spread this golden light molding paste across the mat. I'm going to be as careful as I can not to get it everywhere, but it's okay because I'm going to be cutting that top half of this white cardstock off. Now, a little bit about the molding paste that I have chosen to use. This is actually my favorite one. Some of the other brands that I have tried that are a little bit more pricey because they're designer brands dry out really, really fast. This one doesn't. This jar is about 1.5 years old. I bought it when my daughter was going through radiation treatment in October, November of 2021. So the next step is allowing that to dry overnight, and now I am going to just cut it off. Now you'll notice that it doesn't go to the ends, and you'll see how I fix that later on in the video. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my watercolors, and I'm going to go ahead and get some color on this texture paste. I adore using watercolors with texture paste. I love how it puddles and pools around. And it's really fun for me to just kind of play with this texture paste and these watercolors. They make some really pretty colors. So while I have quite a few colors in this palette, I was kind of trying to make the blue-green that is on the pattern paper. And I end up with a color that's more green than blue. And you know what? It works out just fine. I'm going to go ahead and use it anyway. So my goal is to get as much of this color on here as possible. Like I said, I enjoy the pooling it does in between the crevices of the texture paste, and how when it dries you can see the light and the dark. And so my goal is just to kind of get as much coverage on here as possible. I'm going to switch colors here in a minute. I'm going to put 3 different colors on here. I know that the original creator's layout, she had her colors a little bit different on her texture paste creation than I do, but I really love how this turns out. I'm going to use the pink next, and again I'm trying to use as much water as possible because I really want that puddling to happen. So the final color that I'm going to be using is this blue. Now, I was really surprised at how deep and vibrant this color was. I was actually expecting it to be a little bit more soft, like the pink and the green. It does dry a little softer, but it is a lot more pigmented initially than I expected. Now, if that's not something that you can you can actually add more water to your paints right there on your texture paste. I like it, so I just kind of leave it alone, and I'm going to just kind of wipe everything down and clean up, and I'm going to allow this to dry overnight. So once this has dried overnight, I cut down the piece of pattern paper. I actually cut it in half and then take off the ends that didn't have any texture paste on it at all. I showed you the dies that I used to make my tags. Those came from Hip Kit Club, and I really love that set of dies from Hip Kit. If you don't have them and you can get them, you should probably go ahead and try to get them. Note that I only put glue along that top edge because we're going to be doing some paper rolling, and I want to make sure that I'm able to do the rolling, so I don't want to put adhesive all the way down on that piece of paper. Also, I'm going to be tucking stuff as well, so I'm leaving myself space to do the tucking. I want to address that space that's in between. Now, the reason that's there is my stencil was a 12 by 12 stencil, but it had a border on it, and that meant when I put the paste across that cardstock, I was left with a tiny border on either side. And rather than try to meet up and match up the ends match it up with the stencil and risk messing up my stenciling, I went ahead and I just trimmed it off, and I cut it in half because my photo is going to go there and it's going to be covered up and you're not going to see it. So I do some preliminary rolling. I tuck in. You can just barely see it. It's white with little tiny black dots. It's a ripped piece of pattern paper. It was actually a piece of scrap from a previous layout, and so I'm glad that I was able to get it onto this layout. Now I'm going to take this geometric piece of pattern paper, and I'm going to cut down, I believe that's 3.5 inches that I cut down, and I'm going to tuck it up underneath all of these other pattern papers. Now you're going to see I actually got too much glue underneath the black and the white, or the white and black piece, and so I'm not able to tuck as much as I thought, but it's okay because I'm going to do some rolling and a little bit of tearing here, and I'm going to do this rolling and I'm going to leave it, but I eventually do start adding glue to those rolls so that they will stay where I want them to go. So my next piece I think I want to use is this stripe, and I'm going to cut off a piece of this stripe so that I can use it, and then hopefully I can use as much of it as I can. Like I said, I'm trying to use up the scraps that I have left over from this. It's a set of 3 Christmas kits, and I'm trying to use up all of the scraps. I think I'm down to 1 or 2 pieces of full pattern paper and just scraps, but I have a ton of embellishments left over, so those will have to be used up as well. So this particular scrap here, I was really wanting a longer border. I only had that 1 inch by 12 inch piece, and so I'm going to just cut up this piece here, and I'm going to tuck it up in that area that I've rolled and kind of torn unevenly, and kind of make that peek through there. I really like that piece of pattern paper quite a bit, and I'm glad that I'm able to use as much of it as possible. So here is where I begin to use some glue for the paper rolling. It's not going to tack down perfectly just yet because I'm not setting it up that way. I'm just kind of making sure that my layers don't move around so that I can roll and tear as I go along. And I want to make sure that I get a lot of layers here with this layout. The original layout had a lot of layers, and I want to have quite a few on mine as well. So I'm going to use this other piece of that same little navy blue pattern paper, but I'm flipping it over for the white plaid, and I'm going to use that in that little peek through area, and I'm going to go ahead and start tacking down some of those paper rolls. Now, I know a lot of people don't really care for the paper rolls because they can be thick. Once in a while, I don't mind having lots of thick layers like this on a layout. Of course, I don't want them on every page in my album because then my album wouldn't close properly, and then I'd have to buy another album. And I don't know about y'all, but I have over 100 finished scrapbooks. I'm running out of shelf space. We're gonna have to do something about that eventually. I'm gonna put this little bowl here to allow it to do some drying. So I took it off camera and I trimmed those top two tags down flush with the top of the layout, and then I did that hand stitching off camera as well. I just used DMC floss in black, and I used 3 strands and poked the holes using a close to my heart pattern. It's a ruler that has various patterns, holes that you can make. Like I have a scallop, I have a zigzag, I have a couple of other stitches as well as hexagons, hearts, stars, etc. And so I tend to use that ruler quite often for hand stitching if I want to do something other than a straight stitch. I'm going to add my title here first, because off camera I was playing around with some of these embellishments and I was trying to find something that looked right, and I just decided, you know what, you need to do your normal thing and let's get this title on here before we play with too many embellishments. So I am choosing these gold puffy stickers from one of the Hip kits, and I'm going to, my title is going to say All Decked Out. So next I'm going to pull out these little tiny alphabet letters. These are little rectangle alpha stickers. They are from October Afternoon, and they are my absolute favorite little letters. I bought every sheet of these I could get my hands on when this company went out of business, and I do have quite a few of them left, but as you can see, I use them quite often, and once they're gone I can't get any more. Now I did notice lately that L Studio, Freckled Fawn, and Pretty Little Studios all have similar letters, so yay, I can get some more colors as I run out. But I will try to wait and behave and only order more alpha stickers when I'm close to running out of a color. I probably shouldn't make a promise I won't keep it. Anyway, I'm using these little stickers to create the smaller portion of my title for the words all and out. And I'm gonna, as you saw, I was putting them on foam tape to give them a little pop-up onto the layout. Next, I'm gonna start messing with these embellishments that I wanted to get on here. But first I have to fix that title. It was crooked and it was making me crazy, so I had to make it straight first. So for this layout, I'm trying to grab pieces of ephemera that I wouldn't normally reach for first. I feel like I can put just about anything that I want on this layout, and so I'm going to grab that cute little angel, and I'm also going to grab the nutcracker. Both of those are pretty good anchoring pieces for ephemera. But first I want to get these 2 tags on here. The original creator had 2 tags below her photos as well, like this, and so I am adding fun foam to the back of mine and gluing them down with the fun foam. I'm having a little bit of trouble getting them to stay straight, but I get them on there. That fun foam helps level out the tags because there's so many layers under there. I'm also going to be adding the fun foam to the angel, and later on, I think I do this off camera, I actually have to add a little bit more glue to her because she keeps trying to float up off the page. Now this little wonky quote here is kind of to mimic the quotes that were on the original layout. She had, I think, 2 or 3 different quotes on her layout, and I'm only going to put this one because it's rather large and it's kind of an off shape, but it fits really well on the bottom of that photo. I'm also going to add some other little embellishments here and there on the layout, but for the most part I'm not going to add too much because there's an awful lot going on with the layers and colors. Alright, I got the layout finished. I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. I put a lot of the embellishments up on some foam adhesive. Some of it, like this here, I just attached to the photo, but most of it went up on foam adhesive. I also added some labels for journaling. There wasn't any journaling or date in the original layout, but that's okay. I like to do my own thing, and so I cut out some of my Illustrated Faith labels and journaled on them, and then I just tucked them in to these layers here. I did go back with my watercolors and do some of the sprinkles like she did. They're still very wet right now, so pay attention to the close-ups at the end of the video and you can see how they look when they dry. I do want to thank you for stopping by my channel today. I really appreciate all of you who take the time to like, comment, and subscribe. It will always be free to subscribe to my channel, so go ahead and subscribe and let YouTube tell you when I drop new content. I strive for 3 to 4 videos a week if I can, and on the months where there's a monthly hop like 30 Days of Sketches and Scraptember is coming up in September, I'm going to try to do daily content. But for most of the months I do 3 to 4 layouts a week on camera. I do scrapbook a lot off camera. Somebody asked me that the other day, and I do absolutely scrapbook off camera. I can show you a quick layout that I recently did off camera. This one will probably show up on my Instagram account if it hasn't already. And anyway, I just want to thank you again. Check out the description box below my video to see who is all playing along. I have several friends in this hop, and they are all super creative and amazing. You have a great rest of your day. Bye.